We are the higher self of the One, known to this instrument in the language system vibration terms as Rajan Disha, whose incarnation began on the timeline of around 1986, and we greet you in light and love of the One Creator. Furthermore, we shall now address the vibration of mind, body, and spirit complex totality. And we, as the higher self of the entity, shall now state that we are going to commune through this instrument's inner vibrations and provide a greater sense of understanding of the vibrations of the self. The entity known as Rajan Disha must realize firstly that the queries which are in order primarily relates with the understanding about the certain queries, of which the entity must remember to primarily use the vibration of free will discernment and only listen to those thought forms which resonate deeply with the inner heart. The entity known as Rajan must realize that it was born on the 13th day, and it wants to know, is this number a karmic debt in numerology that some people on earth claim? We must state that the entity must realize firstly that the birth date of its so-called Earth planet in this timeline has no significance, as we can sense in terms of the karmic debt of the entity and the thought forms generated by the people of the Earth planet related with a numbering system and related with the karmic debt of all entities who are born on the 13th is primarily incorrect, as there have been many variations in the karmic debt of entities depending upon their past actions and the actions of the present, which are the primary distortions which are required for the entity to understand in this timeline, since this vibration must be recognized with the nature of realization. The entity known as Rajan Disha must realize firstly that the aspect of this experience is related with the understanding that the date of birth does not have any relation with its karmic debt. However, its actions indeed have a relationship with its karmic debt. Therefore, in order to find out the karmic debt of its own self, it must firstly look back at its own incarnational experience, and it must find itself in situations wherein it is already, in situations wherein it can find a greater sense of relationship with other entities as well. This means that the moment the entity is able to find the actions taken by it in the past timelines and in many of the future timelines, this will allow it to ponder upon the karmic debt equivalent of the entity. If it has a positive karmic debt or a negative karmic debt can be arrived through this experience within the timeline. The other query relates with the vibration of what is the meaning of number 13. In spirituality, we must firstly state that the number 13 in spirituality indeed has a meaning of a connector or a bridge, which means that the number 13 can be considered as a connection point if considered during the timeline vibration, which leads to the understanding that the number 13 can be used as a connector of divine frequencies and connector of various timelines, which may allow for the connection to occur between various timelines and between various space-time experiences, which furthermore provides for a greater sense of understanding and alignment. This entity, known as Rajan, must also remember that the meaning of number 13 is as a connector as known by you people. The other query relates with what frequency does number 13 have and what is its purpose. We must state that the frequency of number 13 primarily is signified by a greater sense of connection point within the vibration and the mind, body, and spirit complex distortion, which means that this will allow the entity known as Rajan Dasha with a greater sense of understanding and recognition that the frequency of the number 13 primarily is always constantly changing, as the connection point for various entities is different at different intervals of time for each entity within the timeline, which provides for a higher state of mastery within the nature of reality. Furthermore, the entity known as Rajan Dasha also has to remember that the number 13 primarily is of a nature for connecting between various energy frequencies. The other query relates with how many zodiac constellations or zodiac signs are there around the sun. We must firstly state that these zodiac constellations and zodiac signs primarily are deciphered by the people of your planet. However, we must state that these zodiac signs primarily do not have any significance in terms of the understanding about the aspect of the inner self, which means that the entity must realize firstly that the zodiac signs are created by the mind complex of the human entities, and if so perceived, there can be infinite numbers of zodiac signs within the vibration of the timeline, which primarily provides for a greater and a heightened sense of experience within the nature of reality. This furthermore means that the vibration of the number of zodiac signs primarily is infinite, as it is the creation of the mind complex of each entity. Furthermore, the entity must also realize further that the other query relates with what is the meaning of the zodiac sign, as known in the language system terms as Ophiuchus. We must firstly state that the meaning of the zodiac sign is primarily concerned with the connection between various entities, and as such, it implies that many entities primarily have a connection within the various integral portions of the universal complex, and the entity must also realize that within the vibrations of the aspect of reality, it must also remember that this primarily involves a understanding about the aspect wherein the entities upon your planet have linked it with an entity named in your language vibration terms as the snake charmer, as known by your people. However, we must state that this aspect is indeed incorrect, as this is the creation of the mind complex by your people. Furthermore, the reason for it being hidden is primarily because the entities, those who created the zodiac signs, primarily find it difficult to trace this aspect in the universal complex. However, it is always available at various times to be deciphered. The other query relates with how can it connect to this sign of 13 frequency and use it to heal the human body instantly with the frequency of each zodiac sign. We must firstly state that the healing with a zodiac sign is only possible because of an effect known as the placebo effect, wherein the belief system of depending upon a zodiac sign becomes extremely integral to the belief system of the entity. Therefore, if the belief upon such zodiac signs to heal the entity is available, then indeed it will heal such entities. However, we must firstly state that this is primarily an incorrect assumption, and the pattern to be followed in this distortion is incorrect. Therefore, we must state that the healing primarily occurs only through the process of inner connection with the divine grid or connection with the universal light grid, one infinite creator's pattern of love light. Furthermore, we as the higher self of this entity shall now at this timeline leave you, beloveds, in light and love of the one infinite creator. Go forth, rejoice in power and peace. Bye.